now live. Okay. Good. Okay, hold on. Julián, where are you? Hi, everybody. There he is. Okay. Okay, we're waiting for Julián. There you are.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Aren't these moments when you log on to Instagram Live like the freakiest moments out there, because you never know whether it's actually going to work or not, or if you're going to be there.
I've had my share of disasters, and thankfully everybody has been kind of patient and kind and having a sense of humor about it. But I finally figured out how to do it. I'm really excited about it.
It's great to see you.
How are you? Oh, I miss you. I miss you. I know we just talked the other day, but seeing you and talking to you at the same time.
Thank you. Same here. I'm doing well, all things considered.
I know.
Here in Texas and San Antonio with my family, and thankfully, my immediate family, everybody is healthy and well, and in my brother Joaquin's family, same thing. And so, we're grateful for that. As I know you and I discussed, my brother and I lost our stepmom recently to COVID-19. And, so it drove home the seriousness of this virus. And our father was diagnosed with COVID-19. He's 80 years old, so we were worried about him. But just 2 days ago, he got his last test back, and it was negative. So we're very happy about that.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah.
How are his spirits? He's I can only imagine.
It really drove home how difficult this experience has been for so many families, because you can't grieve in the normal ways that you grieve. Because he had it, we were not able to go and be with him. And he wasn't able to see Alice, his wife, who passed away, for the last 4 or 5 weeks of her life.
Oh, you're freezing a little bit. We're gonna wait. You're gonna come
Unfortunate, back. Yeah. It just drives home how unfortunate this whole situation is.
Yeah, as you know, my prayers are with you, and I'm so glad that your father is on the road to recovery.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You've been very it's being a public person, meaning you are a public figure, but to talk about something so personal, but sharing your story in a way that is about uplifting others and giving voice to other people's experience. You always do that, and you've done that with this, and so I want to thank you for that.
For sure. No, well, thank you. Of course, we've been watching all of your leadership, and thank you for it. We need it now more than ever.
We need each other.
Yeah.
I have to tell all the friends who are watching this, we always had so much fun when we'd run into each other on the campus.
That is true.
I remember, I still have photographs from that one time in particular when you were with your brother and I was with my sister, and it was just the 4 of us hanging out backstage, and we looked at each other like, well, this is a sight nobody's ever seen among people running for president.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and you know what it's like to have the blessing of a sibling there with you. What a difference it makes.
Yeah.
To have somebody that always has your back, and
that's
that is looking out for you, and I know it made a difference for me. I'm sure it made a difference for you.
It really did. It really did.
Now, are you're in DC right now?
I'm in the swamp.
Yeah.
In the swamp. I haven't left, and I really miss being home. But there's so much work that I feel strongly need to get done. And right now we're working on the next COVID package. If, the Republicans can ever get it together. But as you know, the House, through Nancy's leadership, they passed what they've named the HEROES Act. And so it's in the Senate. And Mitch McConnell, the Senate leader, was supposed to put something up as the Republican idea and proposal, but nothing has been offered. So I'm very concerned, Julián. In fact, that's part of what I wanted to talk to you about, because, the way we're talking about it is there's this cliff that people are about to fall off of. The unemployment benefits, the extension of unemployment benefits ends in 8 days at the end of July. And one of the things in particular that I'm focusing on, and you and I have talked about, is the issue of housing. And this is part of your life's work as the former secretary of HUD. And so I wanted to talk with you about what you know about this issue even before the pandemic, and how you see it as being magnified, the problems magnified, and how we should handle it. As you know, my bill is about, during the course of the pandemic, moratorium on foreclosures, moratorium on evictions, moratorium on turning off people's water service and the public utilities
Yeah.
turning off. Because, I mean, look, over 10 million people in the years past have lost their water because they couldn't afford to pay their water bill. And now we're in the middle of a pandemic on top of that, where you need to wash your hands in order to be safe. But tell me what,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. What,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I know you traveled the country when you were secretary at HUD. Tell us, teach us.
Well, I mean, look, first of all, Kamala, thank you so much for putting forward this Relief Act, because for what you just described, and I know there are other parts of it too that truly would make a difference in ensuring that people have a safe, decent place to live right now. And I think you're also right to put your finger on, we had a problem way before this pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that very well, coming from
Yeah.
California. We're seeing it more and more here in Texas.
Yeah.
They're seeing it in big and small communities across the country, where between 40 and 50% of people were already cost burdened when it comes to rent. Basically people paying more than a third of their income, sometimes
Right.
up to 60 or 70% of their income,
Right.
as rent spiked across the country.
Right.
Homelessness had started to go up again. As you know, during the Obama administration, between 2010 and 2016, we brought overall homelessness down by about 10 or 11%. And with veteran homelessness, brought it down by 47%.
Yeah.
Under the Trump administration, veteran homelessness started to go back up. Homelessness in general started to go back up. And they had proposed a $6 billion cut to the HUD budget to make it even worse. I mean, just totally out of touch.
Yeah.
So when this pandemic came along, you're right. I mean, the confluence of so many things. I mean, people losing their jobs, the unemployment boost that y'all provided about to run out because Mitch McConnell and his buddies won't get their act together and are out of touch with the lives of ordinary Americans. And the eviction moratorium that was put in place as part of the CARES Act that affects 1 in 4 renters in this country.
Yeah.
We got about 44 million renters. It affects about 1 in 4 of them. That's running out, I think, today or tomorrow. So
That's right.
these things are all coming together.
That's right.
That mean that we need exactly the type of action that you have put forward, and that the larger HEROES Act would ensure. If we don't do that, by some estimates, 28 million people are going to face eviction by the end of October. I mean, we would face a eviction and homelessness crisis like we have never seen.
I agree with you.
And so, I think
in the midst of a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
You know, to your point, Julián, in June, 1/3 of Americans were unable to pay their rent or their mortgage. 1/3.
Yeah.
Unable to pay. And, meanwhile, people their kids are home. They may be, they may be unable to go out if they are vulnerable to the virus. And to your point, looking at eviction or foreclosure. And that's exactly why I'm saying there just stop. There needs to be a moratorium. Let's get through this. Keep people in their homes, because it is literally about this. It is about their safety, their well-being, and it's therefore our collective well-being to make sure that people are in their homes and stay in their homes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we're trying to spread the word about the importance of acting, and I know that too oftentimes the media turn this into sort of like 50-50 or both sides. I mean, there is no both sides here. The Democrats have passed something in the House. You and others on the Senate side have done great work and are pushing for this kind of relief to happen. But what we have is a Senate leader and his colleagues that are unwilling to actually, provide for the American people. I understand maybe, if you could update us today, they I understand they started to put something out, or at least, have
Well,
begun to
there are all
articulate
kinds
it.
of rumors. Nobody,
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell didn't call me about it. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I didn't figure he would, but
He didn't pick up the phone and
he would
call
probably
me
get an
on it.
earful if he did too, right?
But yeah, that's what I hear. Because what I've been hearing, and it makes sense. What I've been hearing is that within the Republican caucus, there's not a unanimous perspective on this, because at some point, God willing, people have to be pragmatic about this issue and put partisanship aside. Their constituents are
Yep.
standing in food lines. Look, 1 in 5 mothers in America is describing her children under the age of 12 as being hungry. Those babies, those children could care less who their parents voted for in the last election, right? And so because people are hurting so bad, and to the point that right now there's at least 17 million people that are out of work. We're talking about over 140,000 people who have died, right? We're talking about the economic catastrophe that has been created. There's an estimate that at least 66,000 businesses, small businesses, are out of business permanently, right? People are suffering. And so I think what's happening is that as this continues, and especially with the failure, the abject failure of leadership from Donald Trump, so it just gets worse and worse. I mean, finally, dude has decided to wear a mask, right? And so what we're looking at is a situation where I think the Republicans in the Senate caucus they can't deny the fact and the truth of the suffering. And so they're saying, this is what we're hearing, they're saying, no, let's not go with a cut to payroll tax, because, frankly, people aren't working. So payroll tax is not where it's going to be, right? Let's look at things like extending the unemployment benefits beyond July. And so we'll see what happens. But as of now, they've done nothing. And again, in 8 days, those benefits end. And people are standing in food lines, right?
Yeah, one of the things that I saw very clearly in my travels as HUD secretary across the country to red states and blue states, and that it affects everybody, as you said. And it's amazing that some of these more conservative representatives and senators don't get that this is really not about politics. It's about the immediate need of families out there that they represent also.
Yeah.
And even a lot of people that vote Republican, sometimes I think sometimes the Fox News crowd thinks that, these are folks that are just all Democrats or only one type of person that has. This is a widespread need, especially now in this pandemic. Everybody, a cross section of people of all backgrounds, of all ideologies, need this assistance. And I have said very clearly that if Republicans don't do something, this is too immediate in people's lives. They're gonna feel that. There's gonna be a consequence for that if they don't respond. They don't rise up in this moment and do what they should do for the American people.
That's right. And, and part of it is, it really is also about what is morally right, right?
Sure.
Because if we are a country that says that we care about the least of these, right? Our seniors, our children, those who are in need of help and support and compassion. This is a moment that the people of our country should be able to count on their government to work and to pick up some of the pieces, given especially that the millions of people that have been impacted by this is a problem not of their making. It is an issue for which nobody was prepared to deal with, right? And so I don't know. I mean, I think that there is no question also that there's an election around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps the timing of this, that it's not 2 years before an election, but it's 4 months before an election, may prompt some of these folks who are up for election to realize they better come correct and be prepared to meet their voter. Right?
No, that's right.
It's time to meet your voter.
We'll spare them going down the list that you and I both know the people that we're talking about, including one of my home state senators too. So
Yeah, yeah, like
uh,
yeah, do the right thing. Do the right thing, or you know, there's an old saying that I have used many times, which is, you know, lead, follow, or get out the way.
yeah.
Just
Yeah, that's true, especially right now.
right.
Especially right now. But I know it also has really brought into really stark relief, um, you know, the difference between our good friend Vice President Biden and
Yes.
the current President Trump. You have been a champion out there for Vice President Biden. I know. I keep seeing the announcements on Twitter and other things about you know, the fundraising and other efforts. I think you just did something. Was it in North Carolina? And,
Yeah, I was in
yeah, I
North
saw that.
Carolina an hour ago.
Yeah, campaigning's so much easier than when we used to do it.
I'm telling you, I'm just moving from one state to another every hour.
Yes, that is probably the only benefit of this whole time period. Is
I
that you
know,
can sit in your one
jumping
place.
on and off planes like we used to do. You remember that, Julián, waking up in a hotel and you don't know what city you're in?
Yeah, but I
Like
remember
somebody
plenty of
told me
times.
that they used to
Yeah.
put a Post-it on the lamp next to the bed in the hotel, and before they went to sleep, you know, you are in, you know, in Des Moines. Just so when they wake up, they know where they were.
I was telling somebody the other day. I mean, the thing that's the most different is I'm not waking up at 3:30 in the morning anymore to get ready for the first flight out. You know. Yeah, but
and running through airports, and hoping you can
yeah,
catch that last flight home, because otherwise it's going to be another long night.
that's true. All of that. That's bringing back some real memories. But you know, it's hard to believe that we're only a few months away now from that.
I know.
You know, seems like forever ago that all of us started out. You know, but thank you for continuing to use your voice in a very strong way for the nominee.
Well, and you have been doing the same, Julián. And you know, the thing, your leadership as a national leader, as a leader of our country, has always been about speaking truth. That's always how you have conducted yourself, carried yourself, and I have such extreme admiration for you, because you know that's what you do. You speak exactly
I
what you believe
appreciate that.
must be spoken, even if it's difficult for people to hear. And so thank you for that. And you know, and so look, I think the thing about Joe's election, there is no question he has to win. Like he has to win.
Yeah,
He has to win, right?
that's true.
It just and but the thing about it is that we have to also help people see that, look, just put the two side by side on every issue that you care about. There is such a stark difference. There's not even just shades of difference. There's stark differences on everything from, is this a virus? And should you listen to scientists and wear a mask? Basic stuff like that.
Yeah.
To what we should be doing about supporting working people and supporting organized labor and supporting unions. What should we be doing about creating a pathway for citizenship? What should we be doing to say, yes, out loud, Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
What we should be doing to invest in public education? Like there's literally profound differences between Joe Biden and the guy who's currently in the White House. And it is my hope and it is my prayer that people really do see the big differences and understand what's at stake and understand the only way we get to where we need to go is everybody's got to vote. It's actually that simple and profound.
Yeah, no, and I'm hopeful, you know, at least what I see out here in Texas. Our state
Yeah.
is changing. You could tell
Right.
that in 16 and then even more in 18 and
Yeah.
I think even more now. So you've probably seen quite a number of polls coming out that have it neck and neck in Texas with its 38 electoral votes, second only to your state, great state out there. And I believe that's for the reason that you're talking about. I mean, people can see the difference. This state has accelerated in its movement, at least to the middle, if not toward Democrats, because people can tell that difference, and they know when they see such a profound difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And you know, I think that that it's going to happen this time.
He came out with a plan. This is why I was in North Carolina. So he came out with a plan this week. He has this whole plan, Build Back Better, right? And
Yeah.
And the part today was about paying healthcare workers, domestic workers. He's adopting the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
so that's great, right? And saying that there needs to be worker protection. So for things like overtime pay, that there should be a process for grievances, around discrimination, paying child care workers their value, and increasing wages, but also paid leave, universal pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds, right? These are all the things that are not only about an investment in our families and our children, but an investment in those workers who tend to be people of color, often women of color, who are doing God's work of actually taking care of the sick and the needy, and are being paid nothing and being treated awfully when they are doing some of the most noble work one human being can do for another, which is to take care of somebody when they're in need. And so, that's what it makes me feel really energetic about supporting Joe, is that he does feel that genuinely, the need to take care of folks. So you have, since we left the trail, you've been working on helping candidates. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So we launched this effort called People First Future to support progressive candidates out there that are, stepping up at every level. As you know, I mean, we need to build that bench. Progressives in Congress, in state houses, and city halls. And so, we were happy recently, folks like Mondaire Jones, that we supported, and so many other folks supported, and Candace Valenzuela here in Texas won their primaries, and I believe will likely go on and become representatives. And then we released a couple of weeks ago a slate of people that we're supporting who will champion policing reform and criminal justice reform.
Good. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Folks that we're excited about, and we're going to keep doing that for the rest of the cycle. Because it's so important that, as you know, I mean, when folks are coming up and they're just getting started, maybe they don't have the network that they will develop eventually, that where we have an opportunity to help them, that we help them. And so I'm sure like you, I've been spending a lot of my time on Zoom fundraising calls for candidates, and doing what I can to be supportive. And it's fun, it makes me feel like we're going to have people in these positions where when the tough votes come, when it's time to step up and be leaders, that they're actually going to, pull the lever in the right direction. And more than that, they're going to be part of coming up with new solutions for the years to come. And, so I'm happy to play my part. I've enjoyed the little bit of break and the 180 of not traveling constantly.
What are you doing with your time? Tell me what you're doing. How are the kids doing? Like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. So, I'm spending a lot of time here at home with my wife, Erica, and the kids. And our daughter, Karina, is 11, and our son, Christian, is 5. So we do work here a lot at the house, like everybody else. I have to say, they're probably on their iPad or iPhone like too much.
Yeah, right. But that's just happening.
That's the constant battle of, a lot of parents. But no, we get out to the park and walk sometimes, and we'll watch TV, or I play around with my 5-year-old.
What are you watching on TV?
I've watched what's left of sports. I also watch a lot of YouTube. Like, I like stuff like boxing, and so I watch old boxing. And also, my 5-year-old has drafted me into watching all of the Marvel movies. So, like, he watches Spider-Man.
Movies. We just got the Disney Channel.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
I got that Disney Plus.
We just got it.
I think probably Hamilton
Hamilton. Yeah, right.
That was the best move they ever made, I'm sure.
It's so good. It's so good. If you're not in the room when it happens.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then, doing the PAC, and I got on the board of an affordable housing company. I'm partnering with Voto Latino as they work to register
Oh,
1,000 new
yeah.
Latino voters
She's
this
doing
cycle.
such a phenomenal job. I did a
For
Zoom with
sure.
her recently.
Yeah. And then I
Yeah.
also, you know, this a couple of days ago, we just announced it. I partnered with Lemonada Media. We're launching
Uh-huh.
a podcast called Our America right after Labor Day. And so we're working on the creative content for that. And it's going to come out, you know, in that second week of September. So I'm staying busy, you know,
You
with a
certainly
mixture of
are.
politics and then also other stuff. Originally, when I went to college there at Stanford, I wanted to go into journalism. And so this podcast is kind of my first foray into
That
sort of,
expression
you
of
know,
that.
I'm scratching that itch. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
really telling the stories of a lot of the people that I've met along the way in the last 6 years, folks who are struggling and, you know, have
Yeah.
stories to tell about an America that we don't always, you and I do, because we've been through, you know, hearing people's stories, like,
Right.
you know, being in
Yes. And
politics
living.
and
That's
running
right.
for president, but a lot of folks who have a heart to do something about it and want to be
Yeah.
supportive and come up with solutions or support them, but often don't hear these stories. And so I'm excited to launch that in a few weeks.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how are you finding the stories?
Well, we started with sort of a lot of the folks that I met along the way, my travels at HUD, and then, you know, on the
Yeah.
presidential campaign. For instance, the first one that we just put out the teaser was about the people that I met when I visited Las Vegas and went to the storm drainage tunnels that run underneath the
Oh,
Las
yeah.
Vegas Strip. You may have remembered the video that we put out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I tell you, Kamala, I was obviously housing secretary. I had been housing secretary by that time. I had never heard about these people, folks that live in the storm drainage tunnels underneath Las Vegas Strip. And it was amazing to go and meet some of them and hear their story. So examples like that, and then we're building off of maybe, you know, 7 or 8 of those to create more stories over the next year.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
Yeah.
You are always lifting people up. You are really all, you know, that's one of the sayings I had during the campaign and still, which is, you know, the sign of real strength, right? Now this is in contrast, contrasting you to the guy who's in the White House right now. The sign of real strength is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up. That's the
That's
sign.
true.
You want to see
Yeah.
real muscle? Watch what flexes when you lift somebody up, right? That's muscle, that's strength, that's power. And that's what you're doing.
No, thank
And
you.
that's
Well,
what
and
you
you know,
always do.
the feeling is mutual. A big admirer of your leadership there in the Senate, and thank you for using your voice and your leadership right now when we need it. And keep fighting for all of us out there.
We're in it together, brother. We're in it together. It's good
Hey,
to see you,
you.
the family, my love, okay? And I'll
I
talk to you
will.
soon. All right. Be
Okay.
well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.